Hey, my fellow wrestling fans, it is Hollywood Steve. All right, in today's episode of the Hollywood Steve podcast, we're going to talk about some breaking wrestling news. Ricochet has signed a multi year deal with AEW, and as was predicted, this was predicted where this is where he was going to land. It was predicted, everybody, Dave Meltzer, guys like that, were saying that this is where Ricochet would probably end up, would be AEW. And so that does mean that we will probably potentially eventually get Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. And as we know, they have a bit of history with each other. They have fought each other years back. They had some great matches. If you guys have not seen any of their matches, make sure you guys go and look up Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. So once we see Ricochet make his AEW debut, I think that he will just be able to be slotted right in there. I'm curious as to what he's going to be doing his first feud, and yeah, I mean, this was good for Ricochet. I think unfortunately he was, as you guys know, he was let go by the WWE. But I'm glad to see that he landed on his feet. I'm glad to see that he has gone to AEW. Like I said, I'm curious to see how he's going to be used. I mean, there's some really good matches he could have. Ricochet, going against Will Ospreay, Ricochet, Wheeler Yuta, Ricochet, going against Swerve Strickland. I mean, just the opportunities are there for Ricochet. To go up against some really really good talent, and I'm glad to see that he has landed with AEW. Like I said, I am very curious though to see how Tony Khan is going to use him. And just in general, how he's gonna be used with such a big roster. But again, Ricochet signs with AEW. That's pretty big. Like I said, that's pretty significant. We all thought that's where he was gonna go. All of us in the in the wrestling world, I was expecting him to go to, I thought he would land in AEW more than going to New Japan, or more than going to the Indies or TNA. I thought AEW would be a really good landing spot for him. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to say that it's going to be interesting because we know how when Tony Khan signs these guys, how they don't get used well. As we know, Adam Copeland, also too, some more AEW flavored news. Adam Copeland is out, aka Edge is out. So I don't know, when he comes back, if he's going to come back, if he's actually officially going to retire. I don't know. It's going to be interesting there. Yeah, I mean, Ricochet signing with AEW, like I said, guys, I mean, that's the news of the day. I mean, it broke yesterday. Ricochet signing with AEW. Like I said, I'm excited for this. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do. What he's going to bring to the table, as far as feuds, as far as we already know his in-ring work is impeccable. We already know the guy can. We already know the guy can fly. The guy can. I mean, the guy. We already know that he will sacrifice his body, in the ring. So I'm not worried. I'm not worried about that. My concern comes with storyline, where they're going to slot him in, where they're going to put him in with the storylines. Because right now, like I said, you've got Will Ospreay, who is a babyface who's feuding with MJF, and so, I want to see MJF. I mean, not MJF. I want to see Will Ospreay go against Ricochet. I mean, like I said, they've had some classic matches on the Indies, and so, I would love to see. I'd love to see Ricochet, like I said, Ricochet go against Will Ospreay. There is new crops of talent that he could wrestle. Maybe Ricochet, Daniel Garcia, Ricochet. I'm just trying to go through my head. Ricochet. Ricochet going against, like I said, Swerve. Even Ricochet versus MJF. Ricochet, even some of the New Japan guys that they bring in, to AEW, for short periods of time. Ricochet Okada, Ricochet, wrestling one of the Jacksons, Nick or Matt. Ricochet going against, Kinosuke Takeshita. Those are the types of matches that, those are the types of opponents that I could see Ricochet going against. A lot of the more high-flying guys, even. Not so much the ground guys, but more the high-flying talent in AEW. And, I think that, like I said, I think that Ricochet could, I hope that he thrives in AEW. I hope that he does not get lost in the shuffle, which is one of my biggest concerns, is that he would get lost in the shuffle of things, with such a big roster. And one of Ricochet, Sammy Guevara. I mean, how could I forget that? Ricochet and Sammy Guevara. I mean, that would be a great match too. There's just so much potential there for Ricochet. In regards to matches now that he can have in AEW. I just hope that Tony Khan uses him correctly, and doesn't not use him. So I just hope he gets used. I just hope he gets used properly. I hope he gets used correctly. I just hope that Ricochet gets used correctly. I hope he gets used properly. But, so again, guys, the breaking news of this, on this short little video today, the breaking news is that Ricochet is All Elite. Ricochet has signed a multi-year deal with AEW. So, looking forward to seeing where what Ricochet does, how he succeeds in AEW. Let me know in the comments down below, guys, what you guys think were some of the opponents you guys would like to see Ricochet wrestle in AEW. Some of the matches you guys like to see him have. Make sure you guys are commenting, liking, sharing, and subscribing, guys. Alright, guys, I will catch you guys in the next one. This is Hollywood Steve. I will catch you guys with my review of SmackDown later on. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.